Here we go. All right. Yay. It's up. All right, we are live. Yay, we made it. We are. It's nighttime in the U.S. It is morning in the. I almost said the UK. What in the world? In Australia, where our author Jason is, and I am so excited. I wish I had a copy in my hand. I did not have time to get one. I've been here, there, and everywhere. I apologize ahead of time for this voice of mine. It's called "You Have Grandkids." Um, I'm so excited to help Jason bring this book that has been out for a little while in the UK or in the Australia. My gosh, apparently you're going to the UK as well. Okay. But it's been out for a while, but we really wanted to help you bring it and make it more pertinent in the US and really spread the story over here because this story just it amazes me. I've gotten to read bits and pieces and even the cliff notes that you have on your website and just the little pieces that you put on there. And this story is definitely a must read for anybody that needs some motivation or needs just a little bit of something to just get up off of that couch and get going. And it's something my husband and I talk about all the time. And you have gone through so much, and we'll get into that a little bit. But welcome, Jason Dunn, and your book, Unlimited. I'm so excited. I've connected with you through Trunnis, who has had you on his podcast, and I got to hear a lot of your story because of listening to that podcast. So anybody that's thinking about buying this book, I'd say go go listen to that podcast. The 4 Ps of You podcast with Trunnis. Listen to more of Jason's story through there because it's just you get so many more personal tidbits from that. But the book is amazing. So Jason, just first of all, tell us where you're joining from, first of all, and just tell us why originally you wanted to write this book.
Thanks, Nichol and Trunnis. And thanks to everybody that's either dialed in or will be listening to this. So, Sydney, Australia, and a very beautiful part of the world, and much warmer than where you are right now. So, essentially, it took me a long time. Not until I got to the age of 59 did I decide finally, and somebody inspired me to write my story. And I guess facing fears is a pretty common theme, and putting your life out there, and you open yourself up to all sorts of interesting responses. But facing fears and writing my life story and bringing that to life and putting it out there, was just another part of the chapter of the second life that I've lived. So essentially, it is about my life. I've lived 2 lives, and my book is a pretty unvarnished account of those 2 lives. The first one was a life that gathered great regret that consumed me over missed opportunity, whether that was my choice to not go after that opportunity, or it was my choice to go down an easier path, which was a sort of fairly common theme in my life. And it was, great regret. It was taking the easier road. I was drinking, smoking, and again, as I said, essentially not facing fears. And my second life, which began at 35 and fortunately just seems to keep gathering momentum, is about that change that one choice can bring, one right choice to take a stand and to go down a pathway that is slightly scary, where you put yourself out there, where you don't allow for shortcomings, where you're going to face failure, That's essentially, let's say my second life, which was finding purpose. Purpose is absolutely everything. And, you know, lots of people go out and create and set goals with they don't have meaning or purpose behind, and they're short-term goals, and they face struggles, and they don't find the persistence and the resilience and all the other kind of techniques that you need to motivate you and inspire you and and continue to pick yourself up and keep going. So purpose, finding courage, creating perspective, daily perspective, finding gratitude, because gratitude is the foundation of everything, and a positive mindset and happiness, setting impossible goals, creating disciplined high performance plans that enable you to just get up every day and understand what it is that you need to do, finding the resilience to overcome obstacles. And I think I probably faced my fair share of obstacles, building belief, the discipline of daily practices that essentially create an unlimited mindset. And so the difference between my two lives is one that was in my first life is about sort of stifled opportunity and unrealized potential, and a mindset that many of us live with, which is we're on neurological captors or fears. They chain us, and so it was releasing from that and creating an unlimited mindset, hence the title of the book, which is about believing that you can try anything and you can achieve anything. So that's essentially my story. Along the way, there have been many challenges, both in business and my sporting pursuits. Been hospitalised 35 times from a whole variety of very different circumstances. Three nearly fatal accidents. I don't know. I've had 35 hospital surgical procedures. I've broken 40 plus bones, and I've done some pretty crazy things in terms of recovery and continuing to follow my purpose.
That's amazing. I love how you just blow over the, you know, 35 surgeries and however many bone really. Well, and you were hit by a truck. While it was it while you were training or in an actual event.
Well, I think so. The first, my first almost fatal accident was when a driver just piled their car into mine, and that was sort of pretty
Oh,
close to being the end. I won't describe my injuries, but I'd smashed my skull up and my
oh my God.
jawbone, and had that wired together. I lost a bunch of teeth, had my jawbone coming through here, and I think that was probably the first time in my life that I, through kind of misery and self pity after waking up from a 7-hour accident and lying there with my head twice the size that it previously was, that I found gratitude because I was alive, and that was my first real learning and wisdom around the power of gratitude. But then, look, I had a succession of other ones. I had two twice when I was hit by a truck. Um, I had a runaway half-ton box trailer uh, chased me down the street, holding onto it, and basically ran me over and fractured some vertebrae and a few other things. So, and there's been some strange ones: toxic spider bites, you
So
name it.
those Australian spiders down there.
There's plenty of spiders and snakes. And there's a couple of interesting stories in the book as well about trail running. So, but
Oh
look,
my God.
everything is that sort of. I think I found stoicism without actually realizing what stoicism was, and now I follow a lot of stoicism, and but it's about on any day at any time, our kind of our emotions and our psychology and our mindset, we're influenced by what happens in the world around us and what happens to us and what people say.
Yeah.
And it's finding the strength and the courage to sort of go, well, you know what, I can't change that. So what do I change? How do I find a solution? How do I overcome that? How do I, what's my burning purpose? What fires me up? And, how do I get an outcome? How do I, and, when you've been, apart from the sort of surviving the damage and the brutality of an accident, when you're smashed to pieces and you're in a hospital bed, or you get out and you go home, and you can't walk, for instance, wrapping your mind around how you're going to get back on track and how you're going to achieve something which is seemingly impossible anyway, is very much a practice process. And that requires determination, requires gratitude, and it requires a process that you believe in, and you adhere to, and you keep that passion and that dream alive. And lots of the goals I set when I changed my life were 5 and 10 years ahead. And so the challenge that many humans face when they set goals is the disconnect between their current state of mind and the current circumstances and something that's very meaningful but seemingly very large. Is your mindset derails and your belief goes, and you kind of quit on your goals, or you so it's creating the confidence and the faith that wherever you're at now, you can influence your mindset, and how you react to things is will determine your success or failure, or every action that you take. And so that stoicism of taking away emotion and bringing it back to logic and focus and planning and discipline, you learn over time that brings the confidence that you can do absolutely anything. And there are people that achieve far more remarkable things than me. Many people that inspire me.
Yeah, but when it comes down to it, you have a choice at that point where you can either say, this happened to me, my life is over, or you can say, okay, this happened to me. I have to deal with the results of what has happened, and I have to figure out how to go forward and make it, despite everything that's happened, this is not going to this isn't going to be the end of who I am for now. I can sit in this forever, or I can figure out how to move forward. And I think that's why this book is a good book for people to grab onto, because that's the purpose of it. Finding that gratitude, that is huge. Finding gratitude in the mess is one of the hardest things to do. Finding gratitude in the middle of a disaster, or in the middle of the mess or heartbreak or any of those things, that is one of the hardest things to do. And choosing to move forward. And I'm
Absolutely.
sure
And that
that,
it is. Yep.
yeah, I'm sure that
It
was
is
a
choice.
choice
It
you
is
had
choice.
to do every day. Every
Uh,
morning you had to choose to do something.
Absolutely. And multiple times a day, because many things happen to you, and your ability to be able to control, or to evolve an unlimited mindset, will be your capacity in that moment to change your thinking
Yeah.
and head in a positive solution, driven direction, and how you deal with things around you. So we often, we're all, we often allow ourselves and our minds to be influenced by, trivial things,
Yeah.
trivial events. And so our self-talk and our vocabulary, and what we say to others and what we think to ourselves, is determined by often insignificant things. Quite very and you become very aware of, you can instantly tell someone's mindset. You can bump into someone in a lift, at work, someone you haven't met before, and within 10 seconds you can understand their mindset. And if you listen carefully to people, it's so sharp. And an example of that is, you'll get into a lift and you hear somebody complain to somebody else that, the bus was 3 minutes late this morning. Oh, I hate that. And they go, oh yeah, I hate that too. And what that does to your ability to be able to be positive and change your situation and drive towards a solution or an outcome, or to feel good, is massively influenced. So, whilst the book is pretty unvarnished, and it's a book about life. It is, it can equate to anything. I mean, for me, it was about sporting pursuits and going after impossible goals. But that resonates. It's a thread that pervades the whole of your life. And gratitude, is the foundation of everything. It's certainly the foundation of happiness and positivity. And I think there are examples. Yeah, everywhere you look, you just walk down the street and look around you, and there are just so many reasons to be grateful. And there are so many moments in life, like every day, most days, or almost every day. If you look for them, you can find all moments. I love all moments, and to be, to see that all, you've got to feel grateful. You have to be present,
Yes.
and you have to appreciate everything around you, because probably 95% of the world's population doesn't have it as good as you.
Yeah.
You know,
Trina,
one thing
what you
that
got to
gets me,
say?
one thing that gets me about this book is, and one thing when he was on my podcast, it was before I read his book, and you know, Jason is an individual who, you know, he talked about how he had to change his life. In all actuality, he didn't have to change his life. And what I mean by that is he had a pretty decent life beforehand, but he knew in his heart of hearts that he could do better. There were things that, you know, he talks about the regret, but, you know, a lot of people at 35, you know, your life is pretty much set. And you know what? Jason's
Yeah,
life was really professionally, it was set. It was set where, you know, I mean, a lot of people at 35, a lot of people at 55 would dream to have the position that Jason had. But Jason knew that there was something better, and it came out of that regret. And some people at 35, 45, 55, they'll sit there and say, hey, listen, you know what? I could have done, I could have been, I could have. And you know what? Jason said I could have been, but now I'm just going to go ahead and be. And I think that the theme of this book, you know, so many people, especially in their 30s, you know, they start. That's when, you know, I'm now in my 50s. That's when regret starts setting in their 30s. You know, I could have. And this is a great book
yeah,
for young professionals. It's funny how now I'm saying 35 is a young professional. And I remember just on the other side of that, I was saying the old guys, right? It's not
Right.
anymore. But this is a good time for the young. This is a great book for young professionals. This is not saying, you know what, you need to get his book, then quit your job. This is not saying that at all. But this is saying stop saying what could have been and just make it be.
mm,
And I think that if you read Jason, and you know, there's a couple times, you know, like you said, he's 35 surgeries, you know, broken bones. There are a lot of times where he could have used that as an excuse to go right back to the life that he had, which was a decent life. It was a comfortable life, but he decided to keep on going to that unlimited wherever that is, you know, and he's still doing it even to this day. And that's what I'm inspired when it comes to Jason, and that's why, you know, like I said, hey man, you need to make sure that everybody in this country, at least, and throughout the world, which they're already doing, but they're really going to get his book now and go out and do it. And again, like I said, very inspired by Jason. He was a podcast guest, and now I consider him a friend across the pond for sure. So absolutely.
thank you. That's very kind. Well, look, you get into a comfortable life, and again, you become acutely aware of people around you. And I don't judge, because everyone has a life and it's their choice and to live that life exactly the way they want to live that life. I just question whether people are living the life that they really want. And you can look somebody in the eyes, I believe, and tell if they're alive. And you can look somebody in the eyes or observe them, and you can work out whether they've actually got to a stage in their life, no matter what age they are, that they believe what they have is what they have. This is their lot. And, I'm 61, and life just keeps, the possibilities just keep growing. Life just keeps getting better, and it was already pretty damn good. So, but yeah, it's whether or not you can see, you can tell that people are alive, especially, and I know, a bunch of the book is about, sporting challenges and sporting goals and changing life. But, when you're involved with lots of other people that, give it a go, and they actually push themselves a little bit further, that you see the life come. And, people often talk about the, it's almost obsessive. It's almost an addiction, doing sport and for many reasons, and running and whatever else it is you do. But there are so many, physical and mental reasons behind that. And, you see, but what I love is, and the book's been out for about a year, and every single day I get messages and people share with me, that they've changed their life that as a result of reading my story. And that is an extremely humbling experience. And if if nothing else, this was all worth it. And when you get, wherever you get any doubts, or somebody sort of wants to shoot you down because of something you've said, you're not. I'm not trying to say I know everything, because I certainly don't. I'm a very flawed human, as many of us are. I just work on those flaws. And when you have purpose, you push through that, and you think, well, you know what? I can help so many people. I do help so many people, and you can bring people to life. You can help people, bring people to life. You can give them the spark they need to change it, to sort of get out of a rut or a comfort zone, and dream of more, and go after more, and feel better about themselves. And how you deal with perspective, how you reduce stress. There are just so many things, and that is what I love, and that is why I'm so passionate about my book and my story, because of hope. It's what it brings to other people. So yep, here we are.
Yeah, no, I think it's great. Sorry.
And the
Um,
other, sorry, just to add to that, I'm not a great, not a necessarily a great author. I've sort of given it my best shot, and I've tried to translate the things that I've either learned from other people and applied or executed, and a whole bunch of things that I was fortunate enough to evolve myself. So I tried to, I've tried to write down and communicate the things that I did, and the things I did every day that changed my whole perspective on life, that changed my mindset. So there's a whole bunch of daily practices, and you do have to work on them. It's like, if you're going to recover from an injury, you kind of got to do the rehab and the stretching, which is no fun, but you've got to do it. If you want to change your life, the number one thing you need to work on is your mindset, and you need to work on it. You need to work on it, in a disciplined way. And you need to do it from the moment you wake up each day, because you know what? Every day that you get is a gift. And when you get as old as I am, the days are starting to diminish and run out. You do the math and you do the percentages, and you go, okay, well, I ain't got a lot of percentages left of my life. But that's been gathering momentum for many years, and sort of a couple of decades. So no matter what's happening in your day, you're alive, and you have the choice to make the most of that day. You can either let it pass by, and one of the things I do, just automatically, is a reflection during the day, and as the day goes on, a reflection each evening, and go, did I do enough today? Did I try enough? Did I help other people? Was I kind? Did I appreciate it? Did I bring something to somebody's life? And it's like a sort of reconciliation at the end of each day, and that ensures that you make the most out of that day, because they go very, very quickly, and life's short. You often hear people say life's short, but
it is.
you got to be careful not to do that as a validation, because you want to, life's short, so hey, I should do whatever today. I should spend my money on this because I deserve it. They're not meaningful things.
No.
They are, that short term gratification that really won't make a difference, because guess what? You've got to go buy something tomorrow. So, what difference have you made to your life? What difference have you made to people around you? Have you loved people around you? Tell them you love them, all of those things. And because regret builds up. And if it was one of the techniques that I used when I knew that regret had grown, and I was actually, you said it, Trunnis, I was saying I could have, I almost boasted that I could have. I could have been a professional football player, but I didn't. I didn't. I was young. I made a choice, not with my heart, but with my head. And I regretted that for a couple of decades. And So there's a practice that I have, which is sort of a constant evaluation. It's called the armchair test, which is, when you're sitting in your armchair and you're retired at 60 or 65, and you reflect back on your life, when most people have often have all-consuming regret, because it may be too late.
Yeah.
And the armchair test is where you sit down and you write your legacy, where you're at now. So what would somebody say at your funeral, or how would you sit there and feel about your life? And if you do that at this point in time, then you need to change that, because it's going to grow. It's going to grow massively. So the sort of counteraction to that is, what would I feel proud of? What at 60 or 65, looking back on my life, what would I truly feel proud of? What would even if I didn't achieve what I set out to do, being proud that you actually gave it everything. You just gave it 100%. It doesn't matter what anyone else knows or thinks. All that matters is what you think. And, I've failed a whole bunch of times, and, I know one time in one race, I just didn't have it, and I failed and I got it all wrong. And I could convince everybody else around me after that race of all the reasons why I stopped and why I didn't do it. But I knew, and all that mattered was that I knew. So it was one of the things I really suggest you do, is the armchair test, because if you don't like what you see and it makes you feel uncomfortable, you've got time to change it, but you've got to start changing it today. Try to do it today.
Yes, we're not done till we're gone, right? We always have
Absolutely.
time.
Yeah.
But I love the armchair test. I'll have to keep that one in mind. Yeah, I often tell people, when I'm at events, or I help with a college, and we do graduations, and I tell the graduates every time that during that day to to watch for those moments that they'll remember, and to take in every moment that they have that day,
Yeah.
because you can take as many pictures, you can do whatever, but if you're not taking in those moments, it doesn't matter. And that's what's
Absolutely.
important, to be present, and to really be there those days. And you don't miss a moment. I tell people that when I'm with my grandbabies, I love every moment, and I take it in. When I'm with my friends and family, I'm the same way, because we get to a certain age, and you look back and go, man, I wish I was more present. And that's why, like Trunnis
Absolutely.
said, younger people that are in business or have families or anything, that are just coming up in that, getting this book and seeing, even seeing that regret that you did have at that age, but realizing that when you realize you had that regret, that you changed that mindset, and it was okay, you could change. You didn't have to sit in that and regret it the rest of your life. And it is, Trueness, you're right. There's people in their 30s that go, man, I should have done this, I should have done that, and they think it's too late. And it's
Mhm.
not. And this book is definitely going to change people's mindset on that. And I love that you share the failures and the good things, but you show that the push through those moments. And I was remembering when you were on Trunnis's podcast, you were talking about how you had to learn to swim so you could do the Ironmans, and that you didn't want to swim, and
I
how
well,
terrified you were of it.
yeah, I was. I would. Yeah, there was a bunch of times when I started, and to sort of give you really brief snapshot of my first impossible goal was, was so inspired by watching the Hawaii Ironman World Championships on the Wide World of Sports, which was a bit of a novelty and a peculiarity because it was so extreme all those years ago. And I, and I was just entering this small sprint triathlon. My greatest fear in life was drowning,
Wow.
and I couldn't swim. I couldn't put my head underwater. I couldn't swim, like I could do some kind of crawl with my head up out of the water.
Hmm.
And I knew that. I realized as this was happening that this was probably the most pivotal moment of my life. That sitting outside, gripping the steering wheel at the swimming pool for 20 minutes at a time, trying to, you know, trying not to go because that was my instinct was to flee. And because I knew once I started, I'd have to keep making those, finding that courage and making those choices. And it was kind of like, there's only one way now. It's, it's the tougher road now. And, like it would be easy to just quit, go feel comfortable, go home, whatever. And, that was so pivotal. And it taught me that, when things become habits, either really positive, life-changing habits, or, all the other habits we have that restrain us and that, ensure that we don't fulfill our potential and we don't achieve what we're capable of achieving. We're all capable of achieving different things. It doesn't have to be about sport or whatever. But I knew that if I this is about choices. This is about decisions, and our brain sort of process 35,000 different decisions there. So it's purported every single day, but it's those ones that require you to make a choice that, whether to take the easier road or, apply discretionary effort, that make the difference. And this is about whatever you think, whatever your greatness is, it's about going after your greatness. And greatness does not mean, it definitely does not mean greater than anybody else. And, you've your greatness can be playing the piano. It doesn't matter what it is. It's your greatness, your thing, your purpose, your passion. And so I learned, I never made a choice. I never didn't do a training session. Never, unless I was literally in hospital. And the times when I came out, I'd go training, and many years ago, I had plastic skin on my back, and because I'd been hit by a truck, and holes in my arms, and you could see my bones. But it was what I accepted, what was an excuse and what was a reasonable reason. And reasonable reasons are, you things that are important to you and your family, and they're reasonable reasons. And but it's when an excuse is where you decide not to do what you said you were going to do. And I learned never to make no excuses. And I trained for, in 22, 23 hours, 22, 23 years, I've trained 18,000 hours. I have run 3.5 times the circumference of the planet. I've cycled 3 times the circumference of the planet. And when you and a whole bunch of other, when you add it all up, and that's been, that's been with a big job, and your mindset is, the biggest challenge most people have is, they talk themselves out of things because it's convenient. I don't have enough time, you know, but there are people that do find time, and there are people that don't have excuses, and they achieve their potential. So it's all about mindset. It's all about what you tell yourself, and you can change it. That's, I guess, most my biggest message is wherever you are at in life now, you can change it, and it will pervade every aspect of your life. If it's a sporting goal, you want to run 10 kilometers or a half marathon or a marathon you can never run before, whatever it is, or it's business, it's your person. It will pervade the rest of your life. It will give you, it will give you confidence. It will, give you your own self-respect, self-esteem. But you can do it. It just needs, one really deliberate choice to go and defining purpose. Define your purpose, and your purpose should, write it down. Your purpose should be a paragraph. It shouldn't be a goal, and it should be how something, what you really really want to do, and how that thing will make you feel, because the emotive part of it is the part that will drive you when the chips are down, when things seem impossible. It's the emotional element that will drive you.
That's so good.
And another thing about you, you broke so many bones and things like that. When you and it, I have to say this as an athlete myself. When you break bones, that means you had fun. And so don't be, I mean, seriously, don't be afraid. And I think the reader and the listener of this event, they should know that go out there and don't be afraid to and I don't want to say get hurt. Well, yeah, don't be afraid to get hurt. A lot of people, and this goes even further in this book, Unlimited. broken bones, but he still went out and he trained. You know, a lot of people sit there and say, well, I mean, and I'm going to go deeper than just the broken bones. I don't want to fall in love because I'm afraid to get hurt.
Yeah.
Well, then guess what? You're never going to
Yeah.
enjoy that. You know, all the victories that Jason had from breaking a few bones. You know, he's out there having fun. He's going to probably, you know, I hope I'm saying this, you know, he's probably going to hurt himself and pull a muscle or two, you know, here in the next few months, year or whatever. But that's okay. He's still going to go out and he's going to have fun. And so this book is really not only unlimited, but even unleashing and just throw away that fear, you know, have a little bit, you know,
Yeah.
take that risk.
Yeah, and well said, Trunnis. But it's the as well the for lots of people it's the fear of the psychological fear, it's the emotional fear, it's being let down, being disappointed, failing. I've failed a whole bunch of times, which is as you know is just one step closer. If you have a true driving purpose, it's just one step closer to where it is that you really want to be. But that's why perspective in life is so important, because we get consumed by our fear of things that are rarely ever as bad as we think they're going to be. And there are some really useful techniques, and I've tried to teach these because, and they kind of work for me. Is if you fear something, actually going after it, you can do it in an instant. Going after it, it erodes that fear. In fact, sometimes it can quote, because you kind of go, well, what's the worst that can happen? And you actually become the controller of your fear as opposed to your fear controlling you. And then you go do it and you realize, and then you build confidence because you realize that and you know that the next thing, well, what I'm worried about that may well not be anywhere near as bad. And so you kind of go do it, but yeah, you will your whole life, and you may be truly happy. I don't, this is not a judgment of again what people do, but your whole life will be restricted or unrestricted, or it's limited or unlimited by your mindset and perspective. What have I got to worry about? Is this going to kill me? Is it a Am I in the middle of the ocean being surrounded 100 miles offshore with no boats in sight, being circled by shark fins? Or am I at a barbecue, and mosquitoes buzzing around my ankles trying to bite me?
Yeah.
What is it? What am I worried about? Will I remember this in 6 months or a year? Or more importantly, will this define my life? Or will I remember it at 60? They're great tests, because if you don't think you will, I mean, if you can't remember what you were worried about a year ago, then
Yeah.
the message to self is don't worry about it.
Yeah.
It's not going to, it is not significant. And in terms of longevity and wellness, both physically and mentally, minimizing and reducing and controlling stress is just so important. And, living your life constrained and worried about everything will just paralyze you. And, to some extent, it paralyzed me. Doesn't anymore, though.
Yeah. Definitely.
Doesn't anymore.
Yeah, we can worry our life away. That's what my mom used to always say. Wow, and all the missed chances that you get
Yep.
by hesitating. Excuse me, sorry. Um, this has been awesome, and I'm like I said, I haven't had a chance to actually get. I like to read a book. Y'all can go get the Kindle. I also know the audiobooks out there, which my husband will probably grab because he listens to a lot of books as he travels. But I'm a book in hand person, so I'm going to get the
Me too.
actual copy and sit down and read it. But I'm excited to actually read the rest of the story, not just the parts that I've heard. And y'all, if you have watched this, share this with people that you know might need it. First of all, I know if you're watching this, you can literally think of somebody that needs this if it's not just you. But we all have people in our lives that we know are going through stuff or are wanting, or who's that person that's always saying to you, I want to do this, or I wish I could do this, or this is a great book for that person. This will get them out of their stuck mindset. Mindset is huge. And this book is going to be a life changer for a lot of people.
Okay.
Trunnis, last thoughts from you.
Well, last thoughts for me is definitely get the book. First of all, I will reiterate that. Jason has a lot of knowledge to share. His story, even though the book is written, his story is not over yet.
Yes.
Um, I'm sure we're going to hear a lot more from him. That is for sure. You can get the book you can get the book on Amazon. You can get it at Barnes and Noble. You can get it anywhere you buy books.
Yes.
I will say this: we are going to, just like I got Jason on my podcast, I'm going to get him to come over to the United States. He will be here very soon. Dates are forthcoming. I will be announcing them on my podcast. They'll also be obviously he'll be announcing them on his social media and his all of his links and websites. And don't forget, live unlimited. Read the book so you can be motivated and inspired to live the unlimited life that you really are meant to do. You're really meant to do that, And like Jason said something very profound. There, don't waste a day. Just don't waste a day, And he's saying that at 61, but you know what? 31. Don't waste a day.
Right.
Just don't waste it. You don't have
Almost
many
a
of
day.
them, and live the most unlimited life as you can.
Absolutely.
Well said.
Jason,
Thank you.
thank you so much. How can people reach out to you? I know you're on social media and you have a website. Will you please give everybody those details, please?
Yes, certainly. In terms of social on Facebook is where I tend to spend most of my time. In business world, I used to spend a lot more time on LinkedIn, but Facebook's my main focus. So you can either connect with me there, just under my personal profile, Jason Dunn, or there's also my other profile, which is Unlimited: The Art of Being Limitless. Um, Look, it's probably the best place. I mean, there's a
Yes.
YouTube channel, a bunch of other stuff, but yeah. And please just, send me a message. I mean, I'm happy to help. And I do that every day. I do that with countless people every day
Awesome.
is, I try and give them advice, I help them, try and inspire them, but yeah, please just reach out, and every day is a gift. Don't
Yes.
waste it. Go out and find your greatness. Go start your journey. Start it today. You
Ah,
only ever get today.
I love that. That is the perfect sentiment to end on. Thank you, everybody
Thank you.
that has been watching today. And like I said, share it, watch the replay, comment. We'll watch the comments, I'm sure. And yeah, thank you so much, everyone.
Fantastic.
We will see you.
Thanks everyone for listening. Thanks, Nicole.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Turnus. See you,
Bye
buddy.
bye.
See ya.
All right.
All right.
Thank you, guys. That was
I
Thank
will
great.
you.
be.
Well done.
I'm. I will